everyone, moving on to the next video. Let me check the sound settings. Yeah, it is full. So in this video we are going to cover application characteristics. So every system will have few characteristics, and there are going to be these four main characteristics, which is latency, throughput, availability and consistency. So in this video we will cover these three. In the next video we will be covering consistency, CAP theorem and time. So these are very important terms from the interview perspective, and these terms we are going to talk multiple times when designing our system, or in HLD these are very repetitive terms. So let's start with latency, then throughput, then we will cover availability, and at the end there is also one important theorem, which is CAP theorem, very important. So that will cover in the next video. So latency, we have all encountered multiple websites or web applications with high loading time, like excessive buffering while streaming a video. So what is latency? Latency is time, response time. In short, latency is response time. So when we load a video or a web application, there is some buffering, and when there is excessive buffering, that is not good customer experience. These interruptions lead to poor user experience. In short, this loading time is called latency. In case of higher latency, it will tend to slow the website load time to crawl and take up a lot of time before loading the complete web page. And it is clear that a user would prefer a low latency website with faster responses, and it is very clear how latency affects the user experience and therefore largely impacts the system design. Let us understand the term better. So what latency is? Latency means delay. Latency is the delay between a user's request and the web application's response to the corresponding action. So this is your computer is the user here, and this is your hard disk or the CPU, which is the web application, which actually is a monolithic architecture which stores your web application. So it makes a request. This delay from user to application is 800 millisecond, and from application to user is 900. So the total latency or total response time is 800 plus 900, which is 1700, which is 1.7 second. So latency is the delay between your user input and the web application's response time back to the user in the corresponding action. So it is a total round trip time. This time is the total time taken for the round trip from your data packet from one destination location back to that. So from one destination location to another and then back to the user. The latency is measured in milliseconds, since it is a measure of time, and I don't think so that there is a good website with seconds of latency, because the user will have to wait for like few seconds in order to get that request processed. So this is not at all a good website. So latency is very high in those terms. So generally the latency is in milliseconds or microseconds. Main components in high frequency tools, it is in microseconds. So the main component that affects latency is majorly due to network delays for a distributed system and the computation time. Obviously, the web application is going to take some computation time in order to process, for example, database queries, and there is going to be network delay because this is inter-service communication, and there is going to be API gateways, which is the network which is going to include or introduce the network delays. So what are the main components that affect latency? One is the transmission media. It depends on the type of media from which the request is getting transmitted. The packet size, if the size of the packet is smaller, that means the latency or the transmission is going to be faster, latency is going to be smaller. So it would prefer a low latency website. Yes. Packet loss. Latency can be adversely affected by a huge loss of packets during transmission or different rates of transmission of each packet. And the signal strength. Poor signal means more latency. If the signal is weaker, that means the response time is more, that means latency is more, and latency is indirectly proportional to signal strength. Propagation delays. So in your network, in your transmission, there might be some distance between the two communicating nodes, and higher the distance, more the latency. For example, one server is in America and one server is in India. The distance is higher as compared to the same server, destination server being in China. So the distance is more, and therefore there is higher propagation delay, and therefore the latency is going to be higher. Other computer and storage delays. Retrieving and processing the stored information consumes time, more than time in accessing the stored information, so greater latency. If you want to update, that is going to take more time than retrieval. So Latency and architecture. So latency mainly depends on two factors which we have already discussed. One is network delays and one is computation time. And monolithic architecture, because there's no network, because everything is on same system, front end is on same system, back end is on same system, and the database is also on same system. So network latency is zero there, because there are no calls over the network. So all the calls in monolithic architecture are local, and latency is only due to computational delay. So the latency in monolithic architecture is smaller than distributed system, because during a call in distributed system, signals are sent over different networks and they are transmitted back. So this adds network latency, and therefore latency in distributed is computational delay plus the network delay, and therefore latency in distributed system is generally higher than latency in monolithic system. And therefore the high frequency tools like the current company which I am working on has a monolithic architecture, because we need faster system, we need higher frequency output, the runtime should be as low as possible, and therefore the latency should be as minimum as possible. We have a monolithic architecture, not distributed system. What is the importance of latency? Latency has significant impact on the user experience, obviously, and user satisfaction, UI UX, and user satisfaction increases with decrease in the response time, obviously. And latency is also very important for latency sensitive applications, for example capital market. So low latency is most important in capital or stock market, where each second affects the decisions and increases the profitability of trades. High latency means you are going to adversely affect the complete market, and the trading process is going to get slowed down. That means if the trading process is slow as compared to how the stock is actually fluctuating, that means losses will increase, because that gap is increasing. And vehicles are largely dependent on edge computing and low latency. So a feature like an airbag must be activated without delay. So time sensitive features in vehicles should have low latency, or in medication also we should have low latency. Also here I have used a term which is edge computing. So vehicles are largely dependent on edge computing. So what edge computing is? It is distributed computing framework where data processing and storage are moved closer to the source of generation rather than relying on a central data structure. This is done to improve or for faster processing time. So what is this edge computing? This is for reduced latency. This is a type of computing that we do where the storage is moved closer to the source of the generation, and that source of generation is called edge. So this is for faster processing and faster response times. And edge computing is different from cloud, because cloud is opposite of edge. Here edge, the source is moved closer to database, and in cloud storage the database is moved far away. So yes, this is opposite. Now how to reduce latency? If you want your system to have lower latency, you can use some of these techniques. One is CDN, content delivery network. So content delivery network helps to reduce latency. These are those servers which are located at different points in order to reduce the distance between users, and data doesn't have to travel long distances, therefore saving transmission time and saving the time. For example, there is one single server in Europe, and around the world everyone is making request, that request is being processed by the server in Europe. Instead of that, we can use content delivery network. That means in every geographical location, depending upon the requirement, for example some servers in USA, some servers in Europe, some servers in Asia, we can distribute these servers geographically, so that the response time by each user, depending on their geographical location, it is mapped to the nearest server. For example, Asia will map to the Asia server and not to Europe, and therefore this will reduce the transmission time, therefore reducing the latency. And upgrading computer hardware or software. Upgrading or tuning the computer hardware, software, mechanical system can help to reduce the computational delays. So obviously this is one of the system that you are improving your computing time, so you can reduce the computing time, computational delay. So two major factors are network delay, computational delay. You either reduce the computational delay or you reduce the network delay. Another is caching, because that is also going to reduce the network delays, because if your computer is caching a high speed, cache is a high speed data storage layer that caches a chunk of the data that is typically transient, means that is accessed frequently, so that the subsequent request of the data can be delivered up faster if the data was accessed directly from its primary storage location. and this is also a way of reducing latency. So what are the three ways? We have learned about content delivery networks, geographically locating these servers at different locations closer to the user. The second was updating your or improving the computation time or computation strength of your power of your server, and the third was caching. Now let us move on to the second application of characteristic of your application, which is throughput. So you have to organize a birthday party in a cafe. Suppose cafe A has 2 settings, serves food in 15 minutes, cafe B has 5 settings, serves food in 20 minutes. Which one will you prefer? So cafe A has 2 settings and serves food in 15 minutes, but cafe B has 5 settings, serves food in 20 minutes. So if you see the serving time, if you see the rate of serving food, which is number of settings divided by the serving time, which is 2 by 15, 0.134, and on cafe B it is 5 by 20, which is 0.25. So obviously cafe A, you have only 2 settings, but the rate of service is higher. So it is very clear now that the rate of serving food is higher for cafe B. So it is very clear now that cafe B has a higher rate of serving, which means it serves more people per minute than cafe A. So one should choose cafe B. This rate helps us determine the better cafe's throughput. So what is the meaning of throughput? Throughput is the amount of data transmitted per unit time. It is a process flow rate and it is measured in bits per second. How much data your system is able to process and transmit per unit time. Per unit time is per second. So data is calculated in bits. So bits per second is throughput. For example, we have server, we have the internet, and there is a lot of data being transmitted and received from internet to your modem and then to your end machine. So this is throughput, that how much data is actually received or sent in that 1 unit of time, which is 1 second. So throughput formula is inventory by flow time, where inventory is number of units contained in a process, flow time is total time that is spent in the process, throughput is a flow rate. It is a flow rate, data flow rate, which is number of units passing per unit time. For example, a car manufacturing company is making 100 cars. One car is manufactured in 10 days. So 100 cars by 10 days. So 10 cars per day is the throughput. So inventory, total number of cars is 100, flow time is 10 days, throughput is 100 by 10, 10 cars per day, which is the flow rate, data flow rate or car flow rate. What is the reasons of low throughput? So while designing any system, we want the throughput to be as high as possible because it can process higher data in less unit of time. So what can be the cause of this low throughput? Obviously in distributed system there can be congestion, because similar to traffic jam where multiple cars try to cross the road, but at end due to crossing paths none is able to and process is stuck. So this higher number of process requests at the same time can cause congestion in the process. Then is the protocol overhead. There is a requirement like handshakes or to and fro communication, which leads to the overloading of protocol overheads instead of the content. Latency. So latency can also affect throughput. If it is higher latency, means slow transmission of data, which will also reduce the amount of data which is transmitted per unit time. Throughput of different architectures. So monolithic, because there is no network. So limited resources and threads, because of single code base handling all layers of machine. Single machine is limited in means of hardware and machine progress. Therefore, the number of machines cannot be increased in monolithic. So limited resources means limited throughput. Whereas distributed systems, multiple machines are connected over a network, no limit on the availability of machines and resource available, and load balancers can also be included to help distribute the load better. So it avoids a situation where some nodes there is some congestion, or some nodes are completely idle, or some other nodes are overloaded, and therefore ample resources means a high throughput will be better in distributed system. If we want to improve the throughput, what can we do? So if we want to improve throughput, obviously we can improve the hardware, software, or the computation power of your machine. Updating and improving the software, hardware, or machine resources, increasing throughput every time by improving the performance. We can also use CDN, because we have seen CDN, they decrease the latency. So CDN decreases the distance between user and server. This helps in shortening the response time, and since the response time is shortened between the user and the server, this improves the network performance and also the throughput, because now more data can transfer in less time. Improving the performance by caching. Database caching helps to reduce the retrieving latency, which increases the throughput, and monitoring and fixing all the performance bottlenecks. So performance bottlenecks in your tool refer to the network overloading which is caused by low throughput as mentioned above. So monitoring and fixing these issues and bugs will help to improve the network performance and throughput. and distributed computation using load balancers. So if you have a distributed system, you can use load balancers, which will help to distribute the load better, and in this situation no node is completely overloaded or completely idle. It avoids a situation where some nodes are idle or overloaded, and improves the response time and throughput, resource utilization both. Next, moving on to the third application characteristic, which is availability. So if you want to book an urgent train ticket for your home, you log in into the IRCTC website to book the tickets. Your server is already overloaded because of Chhath Puja next week, and you're trying to access the site for 2 hours, but the site is down or unavailable. So how will you feel? Is this a good user experience, or good user will be satisfied? Is this reliable? So this is where reliability actually comes in. It is an essential system aspect and performance measure of the application. So let us understand this better. So what is application? What is availability? So availability is the probability of whether a system will work as needed when the user wants to make a request. So this is a probability whether your system will be up or down. So if your application responds every time the user makes a request, the availability is 100%. So the application is an available application. So Google has a very supportive system. It is 100% available, very high availability, whereas ChatGPT and some other websites, they are not as available. And also example like IRCTC, this is also not a very available website. So availability and architecture. Availability means the probability proportion of time when your system is actually available to process your request. So availability and architecture, monolithic architecture, this is a centralized system with all layers implemented in one code base. So monolithic architecture can be deployed on different machines, but data reliability decreases. So in case of fault in one system, one unit of the system, the complete system will go down, and therefore monolithic architecture is prone to single point of failure, which is also an important term, SPOF, single point of failure. And during such cases, the machine would be unavailable, and therefore monolithic architecture has low availability due to single point of failure. But distributed systems, as we saw, it has multiple machines and they're connected over a network and has mechanism to avoid SPOF, which is single point of failure. And due to redundancy and replication, which we'll discuss later, the availability increases, and distributed systems have high availability due to redundancy and replication. Therefore, availability of distributed system is greater than availability of monolithic architecture. Then moving on to fault tolerance and partition tolerance, which we've also discussed before. So fault tolerance means how gracefully your system is going to be able to handle in case of any fault. So failures are very frequent in distributed systems, and during a failure your system should not go down, and system must handle the fault gracefully. And there are two ways by which distributed system can be made fault tolerant, which is redundancy and replication, which we'll discuss later. If the machine is fault tolerant, the availability would be higher, because in case of failure there is duplicate machine to operate. So fault tolerance is directly proportional to availability. How to increase the availability? So we eliminate all single point of failure. We have seen in the previously that monolithic has single point of failure. It is more prone to SPOF. So use of replication redundancy in distributed systems can help avoid SPOF. We can replicate every hardware device, like every router will have one more router, every server will have one more server, power source will have one more power source. So in case one is faulty, one is not working, we can utilize the other replicated item. And we have to ensure automatic failover. So automatic failover means it is automatically moving a machine as standby during failure to preserve its uptime. So it is heavily used by Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, etc. And implementing geographical redundancy, so hosting the server at different geographical locations, preferably close to the user, always to have increases the user network performance. Hosting on multiple servers provides high availability along with better performance. And we have to keep improving and updating the computing power of your servers. So scripted deployments can be used for automatically updating your server. You can also have cron jobs to do that. You can also allow users to have to access the latest and most efficient build versions with more reliable solutions to all the security vulnerabilities, thereby increasing your availability and providing excellent support. So data storage and cloud service providers should be highly accessible. They should be up 24/7. Extremely responsive support can be helpful in increasing availability. So for increasing availability, the most important thing is eliminating SPOF, which is single point of failure, using distributed system, keeping a computation power high, having low latency, and that is also important, having low latency so there is no overburdening, having a mechanism for failover, that once if there is a fault, how they will be gracefully handling that fault. And redundancy and replication is helpful in increasing availability. Thank you.